Welcome to Sound Bites. I'm your host, Jennifer Chandler, and I'm here with Christina McCarter, the founder of Craft Food and Wine Festival, Feast and Graze, and the co-founder of City Tasting Box. This week, we'll talk about Craft Food and Wine Festival, which is this Sunday, June 23rd. Sound Bites is Daily Memphian's weekly food, drink, and dining podcast. You can tune in on WYXR Radio every Thursday at 11, or listen where you get your podcast, iTunes or Spotify, or listen at dailymemphian.com. If you are listening on WYXR, up next you can listen to Sidebar with Eric Barnes. But let's get started talking about Memphis's flourishing food artisan scene. Christina, thank you for being here with me. I've been to Craft Food and Wine Festival, I think, almost every year, and it's an event I love. So, can you tell us what guests can expect at this year's event?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me here. I'm excited to talk about it. At Craft Food and Wine Festival, every year you can expect to walk in the doors and you'll be greeted with our souvenir tray and our wine glass.
Which I have to interrupt is the coolest thing. It is this little wooden tray that kind of attaches to your wine glass. So that way when you're walking around, you can put all the samples. We'll get into a little bit more in a minute, but all the samples and taste it. Plus you can take it home. And I have been found to sit on my back porch enjoying a glass of wine with my ones that I have brought home, my souvenirs from the event.
Yeah, so this year it'll be a purple tray that we have, and it's way bigger. So you have more space to fit more food this year. And then we also, every year we have that wine glass. So you have a lot of samples that you can enjoy. Yeah.
So that's great.
And then you'll walk around. We have over 39 different food vendors, and then we have the cocktail stations, the wine stations. So you just walk around, and it's this all you can eat, all you can drink responsibly festival.
I love this. So, let's talk about how this event came to be, because I'm going to give you a plug. Since I first met you, which when you were doing city tasting tours was your first food-related business, I'm thinking, which was all about promoting downtown Memphis restaurants. And then during the pandemic, you kind of adjusted and you launched City Tasting Boxes. You were the co-founder of that, and which again was a business that promoted Memphis foods. And then the next thing I know, you were creating this event.
Yeah.
So you're such a proponent of the Memphis food scene. So kind of tell us about how you had this idea about this event.
Yeah. So when I first started this event, it was actually called Butcher Board Festival. We had it at the old Puck Food Hall. I literally was just like, I love cheese boards. What if there was a cheese board festival? And we put it together, sold out 300 tickets in like a month. And then the next year, I said, we got to make it bigger. So we created Craft Food and Wine Festival. That event, we had 1,000 people in the doors. You could feel it. It was great. An awesome food scene. And I just was so happy to see how everybody supported the Memphis food scene. I think that I know that I'm not the only one that feels that way about our food scene here. It's a lot of people who love it, a lot of people who are passionate about it. And this is one of those events where you can truly see it, because so many of these people are food producers. They make their own foods. They're, different. They're small chefs. They're not the big names. They're more of the hidden gems, but that makes them even more passionate to do projects like this.
Well, it's your 5th year.
Yeah.
And over the past 5 years, it's been, as an attendee, it's been exciting to see the different kinds of foods and offerings are there. It's been a little bit different every year. I know that we were talking earlier, and you said every year you've had about 40, but it's changed here and there. But for me, I kind of feel like when I think about it, that thinking back to prior to 2020, I knew that there were some people making foods here in Memphis and doing great, like Aunt Lizzie's cheese straw was a product that I just loved and everyone knew about. There were a few vendors that were doing things like that and making foods. But I feel like when everyone got stuck at home, they got really creative. And if they had a dish or a recipe that everyone loved, they kind of honed in on it and kind of launched these cottage businesses. And how, from your perspective, since you've been really kind of honed in on these food artisans with this event over the past 5 years, how do you feel like that kind of food artisan scene in Memphis has grown?
Yeah, I'm excited about that the most. We normally would have to do more chefs and restaurants, but now we can do a lot more food makers and food artisans because that part of the industry has grown. I love seeing that side of the industry grow because there are so many different sides to the food and beverage industry, more than just restaurant. There are caterers, there are restaurants who make their own products as well, us being one of them. But there are a lot of, popcorns and jams and jellies and picklins and honey. And, that's a lot of the scene now too, which used to only be seen at a farmer's market.
Right.
But we kind of have an entire festival of that now. So I'm excited to show people this side of the food world. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I love about this event is that, kind of like at a farmer's market, is that you can go and one of the things that maybe doesn't happen at a farmer's market is everyone has samples of their products. So you can taste everything, and there's so much good food. And I will just say, when you go, pace yourself.
Yes.
Maybe try one thing from each vendor, not necessarily everything that every vendor is offering as a sample, because there's no way you can try. It's hard enough to try 30 plus things, but if you're trying 5 things at 30 plus things, you can't do it.
I was going to ask you that, I don't know anyone who's been able to get to each station.
So
yeah,
I try. I come close. But, I also love that you get to meet these people.
Absolutely.
The people behind some of your most favorite foods that you eat, whether it's at the restaurant. I mean, if you're some of these people that have restaurants that serve foods, it's hard to talk to the chef because they're in the kitchen. So here's a chance to meet them. If they're products that you pick up in different stores around town, you're not meeting the maker. And this is a great way to meet the maker behind your favorite foods. And it's a marketplace.
Right.
So you can buy it right there and take it home.
Yeah. Yeah. If you enjoyed the sample, a lot, you can always purchase from that person and take it home with you and enjoy it later.
So
yeah,
it's such a cool event. So, are there any fan favorites? Is there anybody that's been there all 5 years?
I was going to say, yeah. But then I thought Grecian Gourmet would have been, but they weren't able to do it this year. Pop's Kernel is pretty close. They've been able to do just about every year.
I love her popcorn. I listed her in my Father's Day gift guide last week because
it's the best
good.
Popcorn. I mean, yeah,
I
it's
love
the best
how she
popcorn
has
in the
this goal
city.
that there's never a kernel in the bag. You sometimes when you buy already popped popcorn, you find kernels at the bottom of the bag. She never has kernels in the bottom of her bag.
Yeah, so this year, not really. It's a lot of new people. And we have had a few people that have done maybe 4 out of 5 years. Yeah.
So that's exciting. Is there anybody new that you're especially excited that is joining you this year?
Yeah, there's a few that I'm excited to see. South of the Caribbean cuisine.
Oh, I don't know them.
Yeah, excited to see what they're going to be doing. I'm excited for Jim Dining. That's a new restaurant that's opening. We went to his restaurant. Best dining experience I think I've had this year with me and my husband. So excited for Chef Josh. Excited about Chef Kevin in VIP. He just opened his restaurant, Kitchen L'Oreal.
Which is in Cooper Young, by the way, for those who don't know. It's breakfast and lunch only.
Very
and he does
different.
some prepared foods as well.
Yes. The chicken Newport. Have you had that?
Oh.
Ooh.
Well, there's a story behind that chicken Newport
he told
dish.
Me.
Yeah, it's been around for...
It's like a tradition. He's just like...
Yeah,
continuing.
It was Harry's on Tour, started it a very, very long time ago. And it keeps being kind of served around in that location in Cooper Young. And if you've not had it, listeners... You need to go get it and bring it home. It is such a
so good.
Flavorful chicken dish. It's like cheesy and flavorful and yummy. And
add rice.
Yes, put it over a bed of rice. It's so good. And he has done all the work for you. It's great.
And Bane Barbecue.
Bane Barbecue.
Bane Barbecue.
Are they going to be selling their sauces?
I mentioned it, but I don't No, I think they want to just focus on showing their catering side of things. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. There's so many good things. Oh, one other thing we were talking about before we started. This is a food artisan event, and you get to try all these Memphis foods. Mm-hmm. But there's also some wine and cocktails going to be served. Yeah, tell everybody what they can expect to drink.
Yeah, so thanks to Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits, they donate this to us every year, and they have showed out, okay? We have at least 35 different wines. We even have alcohol-free Prosecco this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we'll be doing cocktails, mocktails, and then we'll also have, just designated driver, people who just, don't drink, but want to still come and enjoy themselves. So we have like Josh Sellers wines. We have K Moose. We have Kim Crawford wines, Naomi, a few that you could find at like a Kroger, and then some that I've just never even heard of. So I'm excited to see this whole variety that we'll have. It'll be reds, whites, sparklings, something for everybody in the wine department. In the cocktails, we have like a gin cooler cocktail we're doing, a spicy pineapple margarita with Salida tequila, which is Memphis-based tequila. I want to say we're doing a lemon drop because it's like the trend right now. I'm not really sure. But Cane and Herb will be there.
Oh, that's one of my favorites, their simple syrups.
It's a lavender simple syrup that they're doing. But I think they're doing something with lychee. We'll find out soon.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I'm excited. Everybody's menus have been sounding really good, and I'm trying not to spoil it. Just know that everything is sounding really good. I started drooling a little bit. Just come hungry. just come hungry for sure.
And there is a VIP experience this event because you mentioned that you were going to have, speaking of the wines, that you were going to have sommeliers downstairs. This happens at the One Commerce Square, which was formerly a bank for those who don't know. And in the basement is still the bank vault, which is very, very cool if you've never been down there. And that you're going to have sommeliers that are going to be with the Memphis Wine Society?
Yes.
That are going to be talking about the wines. But what else does one get with a VIP ticket?
So you'll get reserved seating. You'll get the downstairs grazing table from Chef Kevin Sullivan. So he'll have different small bites for you to enjoy downstairs as well. We'll have some sommeliers down there for the wines we'll have. And then we'll also have Nicole. She is a certified bourbon steward. So she'll have 4 different whiskeys and bourbons for you to try. Tanya Dyson and her Ain't It Main's band will be downstairs in a live band. You can go inside the vault and it's like vaulting vibes in there. Just sit down, drink and eat, hang out with your friends a little bit more. It's just more of everything downstairs.
That's great. And so remind us what the ticket prices are and the times and how you buy the tickets and the times of the event.
So this event is Sunday, June 23rd. It's inside the Columns, which is inside One Commerce Square. The event is 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. If you buy a VIP ticket, it's a 3 p.m. early entry. The tickets start at $80 for general admission, $125 for VIP. This is all inclusive. There are taxes and fees on top of that, but you can buy your tickets at citytastingexperiences.com, or you can go straight to Eventbrite and purchase them. And I will give y'all a code for $10 off. It's CFWF10. So that's CFWF10 for $10 off.
Make sure you guys write that down.
Yeah, write it down.
Rewind, listen to this again. Okay, you're listening to the Daily Memphian Sound Bites with me, Jennifer Chandler, and today we're talking with Christina McCarter about the Craft Food and Wine Festival. If you're tuning in on WYXR, keep listening for the Sidebar with Eric Barnes after this. If you're listening through your podcast app, be sure to subscribe. You can also find our other Daily Memphian podcast, The Sidebar with Eric Barnes about art, culture, and more, Grizzlies Pod with Drew Hill and Chris Harrington, On the Record, an occasional political podcast with Daily Memphian legend Bill Dries. You have another business that we need to talk about. beyond this great festival you've created. It's called Feast and Graze. And I want to know, was Feast and Graze inspired by this event? Which came first?
Yeah, so Feast and Graze was definitely inspired by craft food and wine. After the first year in 2019, June, we had the inaugural. And I just looked around and was like, wow, people really do like cheese boards as much as I do, because that's kind of what the event was inspired by. And I said, what if we delivered these to people? And we started delivering them, delivered one to your house.
I know. I ordered one and it came and it was even, you showed up at my front door stuff with this most gorgeous box full of like cured meats and cheeses. And I have to tell you, they're beautifully composed. I mean, if you've not had a Feast and Graze cheese board, you need to do it. You need to order one. Or actually, you need to go visit you at Feast and Graze because now you have a cafe and you're soon about to have a second one.
Yeah. So we're in the Brooks right now, the Brooks Memphis Museum of Art. I have to remember how to say all that. We're in there and then we'll be opening our storefront again, hopefully September. So it's in construction. We actually see things moving. We'll be in the Poplar Plaza Shopping Center right behind Party City and Mr. Hat. So it's definitely an area that a lot of people know. We're very excited about it. We're going to have a build your own charcuterie bar in there. So you'll be able to treat this like a Cava Chipotle experience and have a great time like building your own, whatever you desire to put on that board, we can do it. So very excited about that and truly grateful to be inside of the Brooks Museum right now. It's given us a idea of what a busy charcuterie shop can look like. And it's given us time to really put things into practice before we move into our own location. But we're staying at the Brooks because everybody keeps asking. every time I show the staff at the Brooks something, they're like, you're not leaving us, are you? I'm like, I ain't going anywhere. I love this location. So I'll still be there with the smoked salmon and the turkey fig and goat.
Yeah, what are some most popular items that you sell there?
Oh, the turkey fig and goat panini, hands down, is our biggest seller. We make the hot honey goat dip, which we'll have. That'll be one of many samples at the festival. That and the smoked salmon, I think, are our two biggest sellers. And the chicken pesto out of nowhere. But yeah, the chicken pesto is selling really well too. So
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And you had a Feast and Graze downtown.
Yeah.
For a moment.
Yeah.
How long was that there? Was it 2
years?
2
years, yeah. I was downtown on Main Street and that was amazing to experience. And then we were, kind of presented this opportunity inside the Brooks, and it's just been a good transition. We never really had to close, just, move, which no one enjoys moving, but that's what we've been doing, just transitioning into there. We still deliver. It's free delivery in the whole Shelby County, Tennessee. So we still get to service all of our customers everywhere and still bring them the pretty delicious boards that they're used to. So,
you do them, and you can do, I've seen you at events where you have like almost like individual boxes, and then you can do I've seen you post about an entire table full of charcuterie that you've done for catering events too. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, between 100 to 300 people.
That's wild. Yeah. That's wild.
A 15-foot, I think, was the one that we posted. That was probably our biggest one that we've done so far. It's
do
15
I even ask,
feet.
do you even know how many pounds of cheese go into that?
Yeah, not offhand, but I have it written down. Everything at this point is written down like to the T.
Yep.
So yeah, it's not just in my head anymore. I feel like a real business owner.
Well, speaking of things written down or not written down, I'm going to tell everybody to grab a pencil right now because I would love if you would share some tips on making our charcuterie board yourself, and particularly if we can incorporate some local foods in there.
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
some of the ones that you will be carrying at Feast and Graze Marketplace when it opens.
I can do that with my eyes closed, I feel. So I always start with jams and spreads. If we do that locally, we have May's gourmet jams. We have Jacko's pepper jelly. Everybody loves.
I love that stuff
the
too.
mango, the apricot. Hands down, some of the best stuff. A smoked peach jam, something. That's the great thing about like the local jams is they'll get the seasonals, you know. So right now you can easily find somebody doing a smoked peach jam or a smokehouse diff jams. I mean, there's a few. Then you go to your pickles and your olives. Riverside 1844 makes some of the best fire and ice pickles I've ever had in my life.
And they do mustards too, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you know? So we were using his mustard. We buy it by the gallon. He had a praline Dijon mustard.
Oh my!
And if any of my customers are listening right now, they're probably mad because we had to switch it up because, you know, you're buying all this stuff. And if I didn't want my prices to go up, I had to stop using it. But we still buy it for the store. And that is always the first thing to sell out. Carter really knows what he's doing with that mustard. And I had a cult following on it for a long time. Yep. Yeah. So when I opened the store back up, I know that's got to go on the shelves. Crane's Nest Honey or B901 Company for some hot honey or regular honey. Thistle and Bee. Mm-hmm. They make a great honey as well. So you got to start there.
Some of their granola, you could probably put that as a garnish
for sure.
on a charcuterie board as well.
Yeah. I would put granolas, nuts. I don't really know anybody with local nuts, but I'm pretty sure it exists. We just we started making our own. So we make a maple herb walnuts, really good. And then you get to your meats. Locally, we still have Buster's Butcher with Butcher Brad over at Buster's.
Brad McCarley.
Yeah, Brad McCarley. He was a part of the festival a lot for a few years. And Chef Gentry. He made Paradox.
Jimmy Gentry.
Yeah, he makes charcuterie as well.
Charcuterie by Paradox, yep.
Cheese, not so much. In the city, you have to kind of branch out on that. But yeah, you start with the spreads and the jams, the pickles, then you move on to the cheese, what pairs well with that. If you want the sweet, the salty mix, if you just want the sweet and sweet mix. And then you move on. The meats really is it's kind of the last step. I like to garnish my boards. You know, that's our signature thing with some dried flowers or rosemary, you know, do some dried fruits.
I feel like the ones I get most of the time.
The dried apricots, the dried figs.
You have some chocolate covered like almonds or something like that. And I have a
yes, yeah. Do a chocolate with some sea salt on it or some caramels. And you can get that from what's the caramel? Shotwell caramel.
Shotwell Candy
Yeah. Or popcorn. I've seen that on people's boards. Pop's Kernel obviously would be a good choice. So you could go to the farmer's market and find probably most of those things. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And when you open the new Feast and Grace, we're going to be able to walk in and you're going to have like almost like
we'll have an entire
a deli case, and we can say we want this, this, and this, and you'll put it all together and make it look pretty for us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah. We'll have an entire shelf of all local stuff. And if it's not local, it'll be woman owned or just local somewhere else. You know, like regionally, it'll always be small batch. We use small batch for everything.
That's great. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. You know, let's take a step back for a second, you know, and with, you know, your business as City Tasting Tours and City Tasting Box, you know, I feel like you're a real champion of the Memphis food, Memphis Eats.
Thank you.
And, you know, how did you, because you don't come from a chef background and you know, it's not like you've been to culinary school. How did this all start? How did this passion kind of like evolve into a business?
You know, I'm born and raised here. So as a kid, I've been eating out with my grandparents. They would take us to different restaurants all the time. We'd go to Easy Way, you know, and eat. We had a garden. So I've always just been a big food person. I think I've always enjoyed the Memphis food scene. We pretty much ate local. We didn't call it that back then, but, you know, just you're eating the food in your neighborhood kind of thing. And it just grew. And then as I became an adult, I moved to Cooper Young, which pretty much changed my life on the way that I even viewed Memphis. Going to the farmer's market, going to the places right outside of your doorstep. And then when you start to travel, you really see Memphis has a good food scene. Every time I would come home, I'm craving barbecue and hot wings. Like, I really enjoyed the food that we had in the city more so than anywhere else, unless it was fine dining, because and seafood, because you go to California, you just can't beat that. But I just love the food scene. I loved, the older you got, then I can go to the bar and I meet the bartenders and you get to know these people and you get to meet the chefs. I guess I just have the personality where I'm like, hey, can I go back there and just shake that person's hand? Like, I really enjoyed this meal. And they would let me, which is the crazy part. But, and that's kind of how it all led. I started working at different places that allowed me to stay in the food scene. So working for Yelp, Memphis Flyer, Edible Memphis, those kind of things allowed me to kind of stay in this world that I love so much and just continue to grow those relationships. And that's how I got here. City tasting tours, blogging before I knew that was a word. I didn't know that that's what that was called. And somebody had to tell me, hey, Christina, you're a food blogger. And I was like, no, I just want to tell people about good food in the city, So doing all of that really built those relationships and allowed City Tasting Tours to flourish into what it was. It wasn't an overnight thing. It was just years of loving this city and what we have to offer, because there's a lot of restaurants in this city. And we still probably haven't touched a lot of them, But getting to know the people really can take it a whole nother step from eating the food. So, yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, your enthusiasm is contagious. And I have to stress, if anyone has not been to this event, you need to put this event on your social calendar for this weekend and to go check out your delicious creations that are currently available at Brooks Museum at Feast and Graze, and be on the lookout for the new one coming. They already have the sign up on the marquee there at the corner of Poplar and Highland. I get so excited. So sadly, that's all the time we have right now. And I just want to say you can tune in on WYXR Radio every Thursday at 11, or listen where you get your podcast, iTunes or Spotify, or listen at dailymemphian.com. And thank you for Christina for joining us today.
Thank you.